Ladies and gentlemen, this is another edition of the Kirby on Sports podcast. Once again, our sponsors, PM Plus Reserves, Shenandoah Primitives, Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate, and Barrett's Pest and Termite Services. The three-man booth in myself, Dan Dembski, and Carlos Martinez made the trek to M&T Bank Stadium this past Sunday as the Ravens took on the Browns and defeated the Browns. We're going to talk about our experience, the game day experience, in the game itself, and then afterwards, the hurry-up offense brought to you each and every week by Barrett's Pest and Termite Services. It's going to be a great, great show today. We're looking forward to this. So buckle up, get your headphones on, whatever you listen to, tune in, and it's time for the Kirby on Sports podcast. Once again, this is the Kirby on Sports podcast. Find us on all streaming platforms, all social media platforms, and www.kirbyonsports.com. We will bring in our crew, the three-man booth, starting off with Dan Dembski, not just Dan Dembski, but Dan Move Those Chains Dembski. What's up, buddy?
That's good, man. That's really good. I appreciate that. Yeah. I am doing great. Still getting my voice back from this weekend. So did quite a bit of yelling, as you know.
I'll say for sure the one thing that stood out was the Move Those Chains.
Mm-hmm.
Because just that iconic sound.
Yes.
And then the billboard playing I think it was the Ford truck or something. That really stuck out to me. I don't know why, it just did.
They've had that forever, and yeah, that was one of my earliest memories at an NFL game, was the Move the Chains thing the Ravens do, which is just so cool. I don't know who came up with that, but I hope they got a lot of money off that. They probably didn't, because the creative people never get anything. But who am I to say? But
so
yeah, it's a really great thing. But I think every team has a first down like sound or chant, if you will. So it works.
The next up,
here we go.
We have the Swiss Army knife, who decided to change his fandom to the Baltimore Ravens. He did buy a Lamar Jackson shirt, jersey, and it's time to bring in a brand new Baltimore Ravens fan. We are proud that Carlos switched off the Cowboys train.
I certainly am too.
Yeah, the Swiss Army knife, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
why?
Mwah, mwah. These are my babies. This is Sophia. And we're still working on the name for Big Blue over here. But when she has a new name, I will announce the new name. And I just want to correct, for the record's sake, I have not switched allegiances. I was just supporting the home team. And also, why the hell wouldn't I buy a Lamar Jackson shirt? You gotta respect the man. So Kirby, shut your mouth. Okay, I'm still a Cowboys fan. I'm still a Chiefs fan. I support the Ravens, but I am not part of the fandom of the Ravens.
And if we do decide to go to Arrowhead next year, I want to be the first to say I will support the Chiefs. Plus, they are a fun team to watch. So let's just be honest here.
We're going to Arrowhead
Got it.
next year. We're going to Arrowhead.
We
We've
got
gone to FedEx. We've gone to M&T. Now you guys owe me a home team game.
I agree.
And I don't want to go to Dallas because, I feel like that'd be extremely expensive.
Yeah.
But also I just want to experience a game at Arrowhead for sure.
I agree. I think we got to start planning that soon. Whenever.
We got to start planning that now.
Yeah,
we got to start getting ready for it now.
Exactly.
Well, boys, that was a fun trip.
It was a fun trip.
I mean, it was all right. I mean,
just all right.
I mean, it was all right.
I mean, I guess my expectations were my expectations because I'd been there, done that sort of with M&T Bank Stadium. I kind of knew what to expect. I knew what the game day atmosphere was going to be like. I had a feeling it was going to be pretty full. Kind of disappointed it wasn't a sellout, but I guess
yeah, but it was still pretty full. Like you saw just empty little seats here and there around the stadium, but for the most part, it was pretty full.
Yeah, I agree, and
more full than what it was last year.
Yeah, and there were a lot more Ravens fans than there were last year Commanders fans in their own home stadium, which, as you know, has been a continuing problem with that franchise. So, anyway, let's stop bashing the Commanders. I'm sorry.
Oh, but it's so much fun bashing how terrible the experience at FedEx was compared to M&T.
I mean, I will say, boys, how much stuff did we get in our hands before even going into the stadium?
A lot of free swag.
A lot of free stuff.
Yeah,
like even the food and drinks were cheaper than.
Oh my god! Incredible! How it wasn't that expensive. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna have to take out a personal loan just to buy a soda and chips or something like that. They weren't that bad in my mind.
Well, and they've done. I was telling Carlos this. They've done a lot of work to renovate that stadium. Really, in the last since they've won.
It was very beautiful, very beautiful.
I think they've probably done like 3 renovations to it, and you could tell. I mean, the concession stand areas look like pretty new. There's a lot of options to eat and drink. So really, I mean, on that alone, I think it's just a great stadium experience in my opinion. And yeah, so I was pleased, but I kind of had a feeling I would be. I was excited and happy that you guys also had a good experience as well, because that's really what it's all about. You want everybody to enjoy it for sure.
Yeah, it definitely was a beautiful stadium. I had the opportunity to go down almost to field level, like on the first row, before, like hour before the game, hour and a half before the game. And it was interesting, the design, how it was turf on the outside and the actual field was grass.
I don't understand why you're so amazed by that. It's really not that amazing. Like, dude,
I really think it's just
do that at multiple. It's not a work of art, dude. It's so like, it's nothing, dude. Like, you're making a big deal out of nothing. Like, it's okay, turf to grass. They do that at multiple stadiums, dude. That's nothing new. My God. You were talking about that for like 30 minutes. And I was like, dude, it's not that big of a deal.
That is true. You were a little fixated on that for a little
and the
bit.
grass
bringing it up.
And the what now? The what?
The grass did look nice too. Very nice. Very well done.
Well,
I like the end zone
big
logos.
lawn care podcast, apparently.
That was.
Just wait until December. I'm sure it'll start to look rough. But I think they take pretty good care of their field, to be honest. I mean,
I think even after the game, they were mowing the field.
Might have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes a lot of work to manage those grass fields for football, especially because you're literally, excuse me, literally using the whole thing. All 100 yards usually. So. And those cleats, anyway, I'm done talking about this. Why am I ranting about this?
Why are we talking about grass?
Like, I like
that's what the people want to listen to. All right.
I like how the Ravens did their end zone coloring a little bit differently. That wasn't the normal end zone colors, was it, Dan?
No, I think that is that was different. The black letters, I think is if
Yeah.
that's what it was, if I can recall. But yeah, normally it's like white lettering or something. But they change it up. They try to, and I guess they were just trying to match the pants that the Ravens wore, which were the black pants. So it was a pretty
Yeah.
sick look though. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, so I mean, we got there pretty early, found a place to park, and it wasn't too bad. And we went
Yeah.
through Ravens Walk. They call it
Mhm.
Ravens Walk. So it's from Utah Street over at Camden Yards all the way to the front gate of the stadium. There's like live music. You have the
Food
free
trucks.
promotional goodies, and I get a lot of those.
Yeah.
And yeah, samples of food you can buy.
Food
Merchandise.
trucks is what
Yeah.
the word you were looking for. Food trucks.
Yeah. I mean, I mean
know
that
about
whole
food
Ravens
samples,
walk.
and I don't think there was ever food samples, but
There, I did see someone with like it looked like a food sample, but I could not confirm nor deny those rumors for myself. So therefore, I have no answer.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know.
regardless of that point, I think the thing is Ravens Walk is a very inviting place to go before the game.
Mhm.
It
yeah,
looked like
100%.
they had a bar area too. They had
They
the
did.
live radio and
Mhm.
whatnot. So that was a pretty fun experience just even before getting into the gates of M&T Bank.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they've from what I remember that they've always had that or something similar. I don't know if it's always been called Ravens Walk or whatever, but yeah, it's all about the experience, especially for people who've never been to an NFL game. You know, you're paying a
Or
lot of
been to a
money to
Ravens
go.
game, or been to a Ravens game,
Right,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Like you're paying a lot of money to go. You want to get the most out of your experience, and I feel like the Ravens definitely utilize that, and they definitely give you your money's worth, I would say.
Well, it's just like, yeah, because like again, like what do you remember most? You remember the experience, you remember the emotions you felt during that, right? And like, the quickest way to make a lifelong fan of your franchise, of your team, is to show them how passionate the fan base is and how excited and how well taken care of they are, right? And that's
Yeah.
the reason why Ravens games was vastly more enjoyable, in terms of like the experience, right, part compared to like the Commanders game last year, where we literally had nothing to do for the better part of the 2-3 hours that we were there before kickoff. And because the beauty of M&T Bank is that it's right there in the city, so like you can even just go elsewhere,
Mhm.
right? And
There's a
just
lot of
hang out
restaurants, bars, and stuff,
hang
and
out at a
places to go.
restaurant, bar, anywhere, right? And then
If they have good
and
service, obviously.
we're
Mm,
not
yeah, well,
well. I mean, I guess we can talk about it now since you brought it up, but yeah, we did happen to
Carlos
go.
was very agitated, let's just say that.
I was very agitated. We will not name the business in
out of
question,
respect,
just because
yes.
there's no need to disparage them by name, but we can disparage their service. We did go to a local bar, looking for food because we hadn't had breakfast. Well, Dan had something to eat before we left, but me and Kirby had not eaten, so we were
Yeah, chugged an
hungry.
energy drink too.
We walked in, we got we found a table, we sat down. Bartender came out from behind the bar, got us our drinks, and all we had were waters, and Kirby had a water and a Sprite. And then she never came back and checked on us again, and we sat there for, I want to say, the better part of 45 minutes,
Yeah,
just like
easily.
looking at her, just like waiting, trying to get her attention. And she was just like, it seemed like she was purposely ignoring us, but I can't confirm or deny that, of course. And it just eventually got to the point where we were like, look, like we have to get into the stadium soon. Let's just go. Just pay for Kirby's soda and let's just go, and let's just find something to eat either on Ravens Walk or in the actual stadium. And yeah, at that point I was just getting mad because I'm, obviously, I was just like, yo, like, how do you not check up on, your tables, and she was literally talking to everybody else except us. So I don't know what happened there, but yeah, so Kirby just paid the bartender, because there were two bartenders back there. He just went to the other bartender, gave him $4, which was obviously way more than what a soda is
good
worth.
grief.
But no, I don't blame you because we were just like
Anything to get away.
Yeah, you were just like, here's $4, we're out of here, right?
Yeah.
So like we just left and we went back to the stadium, got in, and we had pizza instead.
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever seen in a restaurant myself. Now, Carlos, you mentioned Bar Rescue, and I've seen that show a lot too. Where the bartender takes shots with the patrons.
That was another thing.
That's what the bartenders were doing, and so that was just another like side note. So it was very frustrating.
That's another thing that like kind of made us frustrated is that like they're taking shots with the people behind us and not checking up on us.
They're right next to us, like literally.
If we need more, if we need refills, if like we're all good, are we ready to order food?
Yeah.
None of that. We didn't get any of that. So safe to say we'll never go back there again. We're not going to name the business because that's kind of rude, because I'm positive it's usually a great experience there. It was a cool little spot. It was. And I'm just positive they were just it was just an off day for them. And this isn't the norm. So, but as for me personally, I probably will never go back there again, just because that's just who I like. If I have a bad experience with the place for the first time, I'm probably never going back.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that too, especially when it's like that, where you're kind of just ignored in a way. Not only that, like, both you guys tried to get her attention. I went up and stood at the bar and tried to get both the bartenders' attention.
They didn't even acknowledge you.
Didn't even acknowledge me. So they even served Browns fans and just ignored me. So maybe it was
your Ravens jersey.
Yeah, it was crazy. So that was frustrating, but once we got out of that situation, the rest of the day was just fantastic, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, well, we might have to turn the clock a little bit more before that, because our weekend actually started Saturday night when we got to Dan's house and we went out drinking at a local spot close to Dan's house. Good old Jim. We will name this business Jimbo's.
Jimmy's, it's a great place.
Is it Jimmy's or Jimbo's?
Jimmy's,
my bad. I
called
it.
Bills fans. Big Bills fans.
Yeah, they
Bills
have
fans there.
Bills watch parties every Sunday. In case you're a Bills fan, listen to this.
So obviously, I was in enemy territory as a Chiefs fan, but we survived. We didn't let them know that I supported the other team that's running against them to try to get to the Super Bowl. But it was a cool spot though. They had good food, great atmosphere. The beer was crisp and cold.
Kirby, he's a big burger guy.
Big burger guy over there. Big burger guy. That is our last year.
You got to change his name on here. The big burger guy.
Yeah, he's a big burger guy, but he couldn't finish his burger.
In all respect, I just had the bun left.
No. You
gotta eat the bun. It's part of the burger.
Don't cap here. Don't cap. You did not finish your burger. You have to eat it. If you're a big burger guy, bro, you eat it all. I ate all mine.
Exactly.
Totally agree over here. but yeah, so then fast forwarding, then we got into the stadium, we got our food, and Kirby got to meet somebody. I'll let him tell that story.
Oh man, you're gonna let me tell that? I mean, I was eyeing, just looking around. I'm like,
hold on. For context, so Kirby wanted to see everything from field level, just like he did last year at the Commanders game, where Kirby spent the better part of he spent all of pregame at last year just down there at the field and chatting with people he's connected with before, with like the local DC media and all that stuff. And, wanting to see his team, right? So he kind of wanted to do something similar this time, where he wanted to go down to field level, see how things are. Yeah. So me and Dan left, we're like, okay, well, we're just going to go up to our seats because we don't want to do what we did last year, where we were just standing there looking like idiots, and also feeling like we're the parents waiting, like waiting in the background for their kid to get an autograph from their favorite, like that.
We felt like we had nothing to say to these people, even though it'd be cool to meet them. Kirby wasn't going to introduce us, right? That's not his thing.
So me and Dan,
I respect it. Hey, gamers got a game. I get it.
You know, networkers got to
Connections gotta
network, and
connect.
that's Kirby.
That's
But so anyway, so me and Dan were told him just to meet us at our seats. We'll text you where our seats are, yada yada yada. So me and Dan had left Kirby. So this is why this is so all this me and Dan were not there for. We were up in our seats. All right, now you can take it away, Kirby.
So I was just roaming around, seeing everything, taking in the atmosphere. And I look around and I see, media booths, the press box and stuff. So I make my way there, and I get in a sense of who's broadcasting the game from Dan today, or the day of. I'm like, Dan, you know who's broadcasting the game? Just out of curiosity, and it was one of the most enthusiastic on CBS, and Kevin Harlan and Trent Green. And you could literally walk right under their booth. And I was like, okay. So did that. I was like, hey, Kevin. And he was doing something else. I don't want to take too much of his time, but he took his headphones off, and I'm like, dude, I'm a huge fan. He's like, thank you. And I was like, can we get a picture? And oh my gosh, it was incredible. And then I got a picture with Trent Green, and then I dipped out of there really fast because I didn't want to take up too much of their time. But
Hold on, you got a picture? Yeah. Never mind. Continue. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. My bad.
yeah, so
trying to clarify your story.
And then I slid Kevin Harlan one of my business cards. So, Kevin, if you're listening right now, we'd love to get you on the show. But hopefully, he has checked out our work, and it was that was a really fun experience. And I saw former Washington Commander Morgan Moses. He was down there on the sideline. I got to speak with him for a brief moment before going back into the locker room. So it was fun. It was really, really a lot of fun. A really enjoyable experience, just looking down field level, seeing how everything was done. And Justin Tucker, he has a very interesting warm-up routine. I'll tell you that as well.
Tell us, what is it?
Legatron.
Oh, yeah, like he was like doing all sorts of leg exercises. I mean, yeah, I couldn't really explain it. It was like stuff that looked unnatural that he was doing just to prepare for the game. But I guess that's what a kicker has to do to get ready.
I mean, he's got one part of his body where he has to like focus on, and it's his legs. So he probably is doing stuff that only kickers do to get their legs warmed up, stretched, as well as he never skips leg day because that's probably all he does, to be honest, just to add to that. So he's one of the best for a reason. So
Legatron.
And he had a pretty good game as well.
Yeah, a really good game. Yeah, he makes it look easy. So and with all the bad kicking in the league this year, it's made me appreciate him even more. So
you're just never in doubt when the man comes up. It's never in doubt.
Never in doubt, you know. And he's just a special kicker. So yeah, I'm sure he was doing some weird exercises though.
Yeah,
but again, he's a leg guy. He's Legatron. Let's just gotta emphasize.
Anyways, before we continue on this leg talk, so after that, so Kirby meets him. Me and Dan are up at our seats. So at that point, I wasn't wearing anything really team NFL related. I felt a little out of place. So my happy ass decided, okay, so me and Dan got up to our seats, and Dan said, hey, do you want to go ahead and go buy your food? I'll stay here, watch our stuff. And then when you come back, I'll go and get my stuff. So I was like, all right, cool. So I went down, I got 2 pizzas. I didn't realize that they were like small little personal size pizzas. I thought they were pizza slices. So I bought 2. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just eat one now, and then I'll have one for like during the actual game. So while I was down there, they had a little team shop, little setup thing up top. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy me a jersey. So I went up, I asked them, hey, do you guys have, a shirt, jersey type thing. And they were like, yeah, hold on, let us find it. It was behind like a bunch of like regular jerseys, and it just so happened to be the one that I'm wearing today. This beautiful Lamar Jackson one. For the viewers, tough. I just like modeled the or for the listeners, I modeled the shirt because I'm wearing it right now. Bought that, only $30. It was relatively cheap, I guess you could say, compared to what an actual jersey would cost me. So I bought it. It's, Lamar Jackson. So I was like, all right, cool. So I bought it, took that, and my pizza's back to the seats. Showed Dan, put it on, and yeah, and then I was like, all right, I fit in now. I don't look like a weirdo.
Well, I'll tell you, the seats there were really nice. I think it was at the perfect level where you can see everything happen.
Listen, people knock the nosebleeds. I don't know why people knock nosebleed seats. I want to see everything. I want to see the play develop. I want to see it all. And we could see it all. Now, we weren't at the very tippy top. I'm not talking about there. I'm just talking about the upper sections of the stadium, the upper bowl. I love it. I love being able to see everything.
Yeah, in that stadium, it was very, very interesting. You were at a slight angle, but still, we were able to see most of everything happen, and it just seemed like a perfect spot to sort of, in a way, predict what might happen based on how the play develops when you're sitting way up there.
And when you're watching a Greg Roman offense, you get to see the lack of development. So that's the best thing.
Listen, we're going to talk about the game a little later, but that was probably one of the worst. That was such a poorly called game by Greg Roman. There was a lot of stupid plays that they ran.
Yeah.
And but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But right now we're talking about leading up to the game.
Yeah.
I will say the time went by quickly because you keep eyeing the clock to see how much time you have until kickoff, and it's like 65 minutes. Oh my God.
Well, listen, we have to touch on what happened before the game started. It was very, very important to Dan, and I think Dan should tell the story because it meant so much to him.
Yes. They introduced 10-year anniversary of the Super Bowl team. They introduced players out of the tunnel, both on offense and defense. Some guys, to be honest, never heard of before.
But hey, they won the Super Bowl too.
Players. They were on the Super Bowl team. You can't deny that. But it was really cool. Yeah, they had a lot of former great Ravens. Torrey Smith, of course, Anquan Bolden was there. Jacoby Jones, the great Ray Rice, and then on defense, man. Of course, on offense, Dennis Pitta. I can't not mention Dennis Pitta. He's one of my favorites. Of course, Joe Flacco not there because somehow he's still playing in this league.
Still playing
backup quarterback, still getting that check. So I salute him for that because that's not easy. Of course, on the defense, a lot of great players, but most importantly, Ed Reed and Ray Lewis. Man, they were. Ed Reed was not the second to last player introduced, surprisingly.
And he brought out the Lombardi Trophy too, which was a weird. It was a little weird timing to bring that out.
It was strange. I imagine that was his idea for sure because I expected Ray Lewis to give it to someone else because he probably didn't want all that attention, even though he knew he was going to get it anyway. And then, of course, last but not least, Ray Lewis comes out of the tunnel. His song plays, does the dance, and it's just an electric moment that oh man, it just psyched me up for the game. I couldn't believe it.
Live, it was like insane because I never thought as a kid growing up, like I could never go to NFL games because my family couldn't really afford it. Right. So, and also, as a Cowboys fan, the only reason why I would go to a Ravens game is if the Cowboys were playing the Ravens, which is very rare. And Ray Lewis, growing up was one of my favorite players also, even though he didn't play for the Cowboys, he played for the Ravens. I still liked Ray Lewis a lot. And, just being like being able to see that like live. I never thought I would ever see his entrance live, and the fact that we got to was like insanity that like we did.
Yeah, and I guess I'm trying to think back. I think I'd seen it like maybe twice total in the entire times I've been to Ravens games, and I honestly couldn't remember it because it was so long ago.
I had chills watching it myself.
Oh, oh man, yeah, I totally agree. And growing up watching him play, he was a special player. I mean, there's a reason he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and you get Jonathan Ogden the year before inducted, and then, or I guess not the year before. Actually, I'd have to look, but I think it was. And then Ray Lewis directly after, and of course those guys were, Jonathan Ogden first round pick, Ray Lewis second round pick, or the second pick for the Ravens franchise after they came back from Cleveland. So, yeah. In 16 years, of course, we all know how the Super Bowl run was his last. He told the team it was going to be his last ride, and we'll get to halftime and sort of what they did there, which I thought was really cool the way they executed that as well. But yeah, it was an emotional moment. I didn't get emotional before the game, but during the halftime thing, I did get emotional watching the highlights from that season, how the regular season ended, and of course the magical playoff run the Ravens went on. But yeah, seeing Ray Lewis and Ed Reed there, all those players around those guys that were so great as well. Forget some of those names, like Corey Graham and Kerry Williams, who were just great defensive backs who made a big impact throughout the playoffs. It was a really, really special moment for sure. And it was really cool to see Ray Rice too. I was curious if he was going to be there. I hadn't seen anything on social media or anything like that he would be in attendance. Unfortunate situation, the way things ended there. He did it to himself. I mean, I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to say what he did wasn't wrong. It was horrible, and he paid the price for it. But he was an important part of that team, and I think he deserved to be recognized for that. So that's just a little side note I just want to say there as well. I thought they did a really good job, and bringing those players together. It was just cool the way they did it, like an old-fashioned running out of the tunnel like they would have on any given Sunday back then when they were when they were a team. So, and it's funny to see how some of those guys age too. You got a lot of guys with gray hair.
Ed Reed,
he looks really
Ed
old.
Reed, yikes!
Oh yeah,
and he's got white-ish hair. He's got white hair now, which is just crazy. So, I love it though. I mean, those guys are my heroes. They were my heroes growing up. So, really cool to see that. And yeah, I didn't expect that in the pregame. I knew they were going to do something at halftime, which again we'll talk about, I'm sure. But that was a nice touch, and the way the Ravens did it, I think they pulled it off perfectly.
Yeah, it's just crazy that like the two games that we've gone to as a group, the past 2 years, like all of a sudden it became like those were the games that they chose for like special events. Obviously, the Sean Taylor jersey retirement ceremony last year, which was a little bungled, but it was still special to be there for it. And for this, it wasn't until I got to Dan's house where Dan mentioned, hey, they're going to be celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the Super Bowl team at this game, and I was like, that's crazy. Like, how did we manage to pick the right game to go to where they were going to do that? It was the perfect game. I'm surprised that they did it for this game, right? Like, because like they had the Bills game earlier that they could have done it at, but like this game, like specifically the one that we're going to, like it was just like meant to be for us to go to this game. So like, I'm just glad that like Dan was able to experience that. I consider myself extremely lucky that I was able to experience it. And, I don't, for Kirby, I mean, obviously, that's just a pipe dream where he wants to see his own team do something like that.
Oh, yeah. I see it. Yep.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very good
cool
experience for me as well, because I watched most of that Ravens super playoff run into the Super Bowl, because I mean I don't have anything negative against the Baltimore Ravens. I'll watch them. I'll root for them when they're on TV. So
they're the second local team, basically. You got Washington, but like when Baltimore went for that on that run, I was rooting for them all the way, because I was like, man, it would be so cool to have a team that's like close by win it. And like when they won it, I was like, wow, that's amazing. That like literally they're like only like a couple hours away. That's the city of the Super Bowl champs right there.
And in the fashion they did it as well, to be able to beat Manning and Brady back to back. And then, of course, the Niners were a team that just got extremely hot there at the end of that season.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to beat them as
Colin
well.
Kaepernick at like his
Oh,
peak.
man. They were very tough. So the fact that was how they had to do it was extremely special.
And the fact that also like that 49ers team had John Harbaugh's brother Jim Harbaugh coaching it. That like it was the Harbaugh Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. That was a good season. That was a good year.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like I mean, the headlines really wrote themselves, and I think that was the big one. The two brothers squaring off, which was never, I don't think was even seen with players before in the Super Bowl, and much less coaches. So just a crazy the way it worked out. Incredible season. Also a really entertaining Super Bowl as well. People forget how fun that Super Bowl was. Because we had some ones in the years after that were not so great. So that one was exciting. Of course, the power going out. I mean, that was an insane.
Beyonce's performance was absolutely insanity.
Never seen anything like that. Never seen anything like that, and probably never will again, because the NFL won't let that happen ever again.
I don't know. Rihanna's performing this year. I mean, she's got a new song coming out in 2 days.
Mm-hmm. They need a lot of surge protectors next year, so we'll see if they do it. So
where's Super Bowl this year? Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be all right. They've done the Lady Gaga performance, so they're okay.
That's right.
And I'm pretty sure they did the Katy. No, I don't think they did the Katy Perry one. Did they do the Katy Perry one?
I can't remember.
I can't either. But either way, they'll be okay. They'll be okay.
Well, it was a lot of fun, this game day experience. But on the other side of this break, we're going to talk more about the 23-20 Ravens win over the Browns. Right after this break, you're listening to the Kirby on Sports podcast. For sports fans living in condominium and homeowners associations, as well as business professionals, when you need a reserve study, PM Plus Reserves has been in business since 1990. Their studies are accurate and easy to understand. Check them out when your association needs a study. www.pmplusreserves.com. You can also contact them at 703-803-8436. Once again, www.pmplusreserves.com. Is it finally time to upgrade your home's interior? How about with an authentic farm table made locally from recycled barnwood? Shenandoah Primitives, based right here in Winchester, Virginia, makes farm tables, benches, tables, coffee tables, and a long list of other items for your home decorating needs. At Shenandoah Primitives, function and style are combined for great furniture that will last generations. If you're interested in combining the industrial look of metal with wood, or considering something incredibly unique with a live edge, Shenandoah Primitives turns those ideas into reality. Thinking about a mirror, wine rack, or other accent piece for your home, Shenandoah Primitives can assist with that as well. As a local small business, Shenandoah Primitives is happy to work with each client for a custom design or schedule an appointment to come out and view current inventory. Local, high-quality, handmade items can be found at Shenandoah Primitives. Find us on Facebook and Instagram, or visit us at www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Once again, that's www.shenandoahprimitives.com. All right, welcome back to the Kirby on Sports podcast. The three-man booth is all here today. let's get into the Ravens' victory over the Cleveland Browns 23-20. Dan, it was your home team. I know there were some highs and some lows from this game that we
were very
saw
nervous
you
at the
witnessed
beginning.
in person. So I'd like to start off with your thoughts on this game.
Well, I'll say this: it's the typical Ravens, especially this season. It comes down to the end. It comes down to the defense has to make a stop to keep the Browns from having a chance to tie the game or a chance to win the game. So they did what they had to do. They did just enough defensively. But the Ravens, I mean, the numbers in this game, I mean, it wasn't good. Lamar Jackson did not have a good game. I don't know what it was. He seemed uncomfortable in the pocket. He wasn't his usual mobile self. He had a couple of times where he had some nice runs, and he did a nice job getting outside of the pocket. But there's some hesitancy with him this year. In years past, he would tuck it and run and make plays with his feet. He seems like he doesn't want to do that now. Like, he could get hurt, number one. Number two, he wants to prove he can throw the football. We know he can throw the football, right? I mean, real fans who've watched him play the last 4 years know he can throw the damn football. There's no question about that. So I think those two things are holding him back. And the Ravens offense, I mean, I mentioned it before, it's just vanilla. Like, the game plan, I don't really know what it is. Gus Edwards was back, which I think was a big boost for the Ravens. He had 2 touchdowns, ended up being the decisive touchdowns in the game. But outside of that, I didn't see a lot of positives on offense. I just don't know where this offense goes from here. And I think that's pretty concerning for me. Lamar Jackson wants a big contract. I think he deserves to get paid. I don't think he deserves a fully guaranteed contract. I think that's a bad decision if the Ravens decide to do that, because you just don't know.
Business wise, it's a bad decision. In terms of morality, it's probably the right decision, but business wise, it's a bad decision.
Agreed. So I'm gonna get. I got to give the defense a lot of credit, though. They bended but did not break, and I feel like that was key for them in this game.
Well, they definitely broke on that first drive. That first drive was not a good defensive series.
75-yard drive, 6.5 minutes. Browns go right down the field, and that's when I said, "Oh boy, here we go."
It might be a long day.
It might be a long day for the Ravens, because especially when Nick Chubb got going. I was just like, if there's one guy on this offense you have to slow down, it's Nick Chubb. And I was like, this is going to be a long game. But is wishy-washy as the Ravens were on offense. The Browns sort of returned the favor, and I'm not sure what their game plan really was either. And after that, the Ravens defense settled in and played well. Now the secondary, again, I would say bend but didn't break. Brissett had a good game. I mean, he only had 5 incomplete passes. He was 22-27. The big thing was they kept him out of the end zone. And that, to me, is the thing that they've done, especially in the second half, all season long, to these quarterbacks, whether it be Josh Allen or Tua, or let me think, who else have they gotten? I would point to those two guys, because especially Tua. I mean, he just went off on them in the second half, especially the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
For 4 or 5 touchdowns. I forget how many he threw in the fourth quarter this year when they played. But the defense, I would say, is improving. I think they showed steps to that effect in this game. And like I said, they did give up some big plays, but they did just enough to get off the field, to force punts, and they played pretty well, all things considered. Yeah. Again, the offense has me very concerned, especially in this division now. Cincinnati's right there. I know we've already beaten them, but they're going to be tough. Pittsburgh's hanging around too. I don't think the Steelers have a chance. I don't think the Browns will have a chance, because obviously, Deshaun Watson doesn't come back for another 4 or 5 weeks at this point.
Yeah, I think it's week 11 he comes back.
So I think at this point, the Ravens, it's really between the Ravens and the Bengals in this division. And to me, it just comes down to, can the Ravens game plan finally utilize what they have? Because I feel like they don't utilize their weapons. They don't utilize Lamar Jackson the right way. Rashad Bateman.
I kept saying it during the
Yeah.
game. You use Lamar Jackson's legs, and he will make it happen. And every time they used his legs, he made it happen.
Big play on third down was was a pitch by Mark Andrews to Lamar Jackson. I've never seen anything like that.
That was a cool play. That was
crazy
because the Browns at that point like basically sold out on it was going to be a sneak by Mark Andrews, because the Chiefs have set that trend. Well, they'll use the tight end, and not just the Chiefs. It's just a kind of a trend in the NFL where the tight end will like motion under center and then take the quick snap and then just dive and get that yard. But with the defensive line that the Browns have, with Myles Garrett and I think Clowney's still on that line too, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with them too, and on the line, it's very tough to run on them. So the Ravens did the right move and pulled something out of their bag and quickly pitched it to Lamar on the outside, and he made it happen.
Yeah, and that was probably the play of the game, because if you end up punting the football there, I think it's a one possession game at that point. I think it was 20-13 at that point. I could be wrong, and I think they ended up kicking a field goal on that drive. So they went up by 2 possessions. That was key. I mean, that play was key. If you don't get that, you punt the ball back to them, and all of a sudden a touchdown puts you behind. So yeah, that was key for them. But yeah, I just don't know a lot of what they're doing, and just something seems off. Whether it's with the receivers, whether it's with Lamar, there's just not a connection there right now. It's very.
I will say on the receiver front, I mean, like that was Rashad Bateman's first game back since week 1, so he's going to be rusty. He's got to get back, and I'm telling you, like that kid, I there's something there. It's just he has to be able to stay healthy and be able to build that rapport with Lamar Jackson.
I agree.
And with, I mean, what's his name? Duvernay made he made a fantastic catch in that first quarter where he dove for it, and like he was a big factor in the positive offense that the Ravens did have during the game. He played a key part in it, and so did Gus Edwards for sure. He did as well. But yeah, offensively, like and it wasn't just you, Dan. Like you heard it all around us. Like we were like a lot of people were like, what are they doing? Like, what is this offensive game plan that they're trying to run here?
There's just no flow, and I think that's the biggest issue I have. It seems discombobulated, and there's no sense of direction as to where they're going, and
sometimes there's no sense of urgency.
Right, exactly. And I hate to harp back to 10 years ago, but the Ravens had Cam Cameron, and about like halfway through the season, the Ravens offense was stale. It didn't have any direction. It didn't really have any purpose at the time. They had weapons back then. We knew that, and we ended up seeing that later on in the season. So they fired him and promoted what's his name? Shoot. He coached for the Lions. Anyway,
Jim Caldwell.
Thank you.
I also had to like think of the name. I was like, who is he trying to talk about?
I think they even said his name during the.
They did. He was there. He was there.
Which is even worse. I had a very senior moment there. I'm too young to be having those, but
yeah.
I think there comes a time, and I said this to you guys last week. After another disappointing performance by the Ravens, that something's got to change.
In our group message, by the way, not on the podcast, because
yes,
we weren't on.
Yeah, because neither Carlos or I can make it last week, but it's frustrating to me because we see that they have some pieces there. They also didn't throw the ball to Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is their best player.
Did Mark Andrews even have a catch? Did he even have a catch? I don't remember him ever catching the ball once.
He did not register a catch. No.
Oh my God!
He didn't even have a target.
The Travis Kelce of this offense.
They
didn't use him at all.
I'm not sure why he didn't get targeted in the game. I don't even think he was hurt, or maybe he was and we didn't know.
They said he was primarily run blocking in the game. They say he had a good game run blocking, which I mean the Ravens running backs were okay. So yeah, I think he did okay. But yeah, it really doesn't make sense to me. And they threw it to Isaiah Likely, who's a young guy who made the team, who impressed people during the preseason. But they only target him once. He had one catch. Actually, I digress. Andrews was targeted twice. But I think one of the throws was I think both of those were pretty off. I can't remember both of them, but again, it's like usually I feel like when Lamar and Mark Andrews connect, then that's when the offense really clicks, especially the passing offense. And that didn't happen on Sunday. But the Ravens did just enough to win. They did just enough on offense. But I think they have to move on from Greg Roman. And like I was saying before I went off on a tangent, like I often do, they fired Cam Cameron in 2012 and then reinvigorated that offense. I think you got to make a move here. We've seen that Greg Roman is sort of a one-trick pony. After, of course, Lamar's MVP season, he was a hot pick for head coach, and I thought he was going to be gone. A lot of people did, but he decided to stay, and I think what they did back then is it's just not working now. Which I don't even think they're even doing what they were doing in 2019. They did a lot of read options and RPOs back then. They're not doing that stuff now. So,
well, at a certain point, the NFL catches up to you. Remember the hot craze like a few years ago was the Wildcat offense.
The Wildcat, yeah.
And like Bill Belichick couldn't even stop it for a little bit there, but then eventually you get figured out and you got to adapt. The thing for here is I just don't think Greg Roman really knows how to utilize Lamar Jackson's strengths and knows how to really modify them or just like modify them with how the NFL is today. Because let's face it, teams have figured out how to contain Lamar Jackson, just like teams have found out how to contain Patrick Mahomes for the most part, right? Like, and I always there's my Patrick Mahomes reference. I will always make one at least once an episode.
He's deserving. So what can you say?
Yeah, but it sounds a little redundant, in my mind sometimes when I bring it up. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, no, I mean, for sure, I think the same thing too. I think it's just not working. Like the offense was so dull, we were more excited when the defense was on the field more than the offense, which was crazy because before the game we were like, man, we're hoping Lamar Jackson's going to do something crazy. Let's hope this is the game that he's going to go off. And then like when the offense was on the field, like sometimes I tuned out a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. Sometimes I started focusing on things around the stadium because the offense just wasn't doing anything for the most part. But when the defense was on the field, man, I was locked in. So,
well, yeah. And it's sorry, go ahead.
No. That's where I was going to end it.
Yeah. And the stadium was most loud when the defense was on the field too. Because when the offense
which it should be, right. But
But there was such a lack of big plays on offense. The stadium was silent. I mean, I can't recall how many times we heard loud cheers from a big play. Maybe
play,
twice. Maybe twice.
When Lamar started juking dudes out a little bit.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
A little bit.
That was pretty cool, and it was sort of a throwback to what he used to do. But yeah, I mean the Browns outgained the Ravens by almost 100 yards. So the fact that they lost this game is insane to me. First of all, Stefanski with a stupid challenge. Not really sure.
We
talk about that.
We still don't know what the hell that was. That was the dumbest challenge of all time.
He was it the spot he was challenging? Is that what the officials
said? Because I went back and
15.
Yeah, I went back and rewatched the highlights. They didn't even touch on that on the highlights. So, like, I just don't know what happened.
Yeah, it was really strange.
Yeah, that was really confusing to me also.
Like Carlos would say.
Even the Browns fans, because there were some Browns fans in front of us, which was crazy. There were some Brown fans sitting. They were even confused. They're like, "What the hell is he doing?"
Yeah. Which, by the way, they were nice people.
They were very nice people.
And from what I can see, everybody got along.
Treated them with respect. Everybody around us treated them with respect. Nobody gave them a hard time for being Browns fans, which is
It's
the way it
football.
should
Who
be.
cares?
Which is the way it should be.
Absolutely.
Right? Because like we know,
It's not life or death here.
there's there's certain fan bases that'll Philly that will like trash you for being a fan of the other team. But hey, like if you live over here and your team comes to town, why wouldn't you? You should be allowed to go to these games and not face being
You shouldn't have trash
threatened
thrown at your head when you're walking through.
Yeah, I agree with
or
that.
insults hurled at you for that.
Right. Totally agree. But overall, I know I complained a lot about this team. The defense has gotten better. I just need to see some sense of direction with the offense. And look, tomorrow's going to be a test. I know the Bucks have struggled. Brady has struggled, but
It's still the Bucks. It's still
the Bucks. It's still Brady. You still have to focus in, and their defense is not bad. So it's going to be a test for Lamar and this offense and Greg Roman as to what they can draw up here on a short week to see if they can show us, hey, this is what direction we're heading. Because I haven't seen that in really since the first week of the season when I had hope that the Ravens were going to be, in good shape this year. And they really haven't had an explosion in points since they played Buffalo. So then, of course, that was a loss too. So it's frustrating right now.
But even the Buffalo game wasn't that high scoring. The most explosion points that they had was against the Dolphins.
The Dolphins, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's when let me think what I was trying to say. I guess the offense looked alive for the Buffalo game until the fourth quarter, that is. And then, of course, they collapsed, which we thought was going to happen here because it was certainly going that direction. Browns had the momentum going into that fourth quarter.
And that was intense. That was an intense ending to the game, and it was fantastic because when we went to the game last year, when we went to the game last year, the Chiefs,
over by
first
the third
half,
quarter.
That first half was pretty back and forth.
Right.
I think Washington actually went into halftime leading.
Correct.
And then the second half, Kansas City just came out and dominated, and it was just like that was, it wasn't like intense at the end the way the stadium was rocking at the end, and they played. Oh man, the most hype that I've ever seen Kirby was when they played Sandman, and Kirby just went crazy.
Oh yeah,
started jumping up because that's the Virginia Tech, entrance song. So and Kirby and Dan are big VT fans. Me, I'm not. I don't hate them, but I just don't really watch Virginia Tech that much.
You're saving your time, believe me.
I mean, yeah. But yeah, I mean, they played that and the crowd went crazy. It got everybody hyped.
It was a good moment.
And then just like the ending, the stadium was so loud. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and that's a typical AFC North game.
Defensive battle,
kind of scrappy. Both teams kind of they had some chippy moments, but overall it wasn't too physical. That'll happen when we play Pittsburgh. I think more than any team in the division. So, I'm happy with the win, even though I sounded depressed and angry about how the offense played. The defense is getting better, and we're 2-0 in the division right now, which is most important. And no team in the division besides well, I shouldn't say that. Cleveland and Pittsburgh are both 1-1. Cincinnati's actually winless in the division, so that really helps us going forward. Again, tomorrow night's going to tell me a lot about where this team sits right now, and I think it's going to say a lot about Tampa Bay too, like because everybody's down on them right now. And I don't like when the Ravens play a team that everybody's been down on, because it seems like the Ravens let themselves down in those types of games, typically, historically speaking. So I'm hoping they step up and are able to get pressure on Brady, because that's the other thing too. Not a lot of pressure on Jacoby Brissett in this game. They got to him.
No, I thought there was a good bit amount. I mean, they got to him plenty of times. They made him roll out of the pocket plenty of times. He had to step up and avoid the pressure. I think they got pressure. I think the issue with is also Jason Pierre-Paul is starting to make his mark on this team. I truly feel. I think the issue is they're just not getting home yet.
Very well could be. And yeah, when you play, I mean, Jacoby Brissett was killing them, getting outside of the pocket. That's where he was just buying time. And that's the problem with the Ravens defensive line. They got some older guys out there. They're not going to be able to run forever. And yeah, Jason Pierre-Paul kind of being the face of that. So, yeah, I think you're right, Carlos. I think they were able to get pressure within the pocket, but they're not going to have any issue if they're able to do that against Brady, because let's face it, Brady's not mobile at all. If they can get to him in the pocket, he's done for. So that is one positive thing I will say, that if they can do that. So I have nothing else to say. I think it was a great game. It was exciting. It was also just heart-pounding. And the halftime was great. I don't know if you want to touch on that real quick. But they
made they brought the team back out, and they made some. Ray Lewis made a speech. Ed Reed made a speech.
It was cool. It was really cool. They recognized those guys. They recognized the owner at the time and stuff like that. So, and of course the montage of the end of the season and then the playoffs, which, I mean, the Ravens had just an unbelievable playoff run. Nobody thought they could do that. They were able to do it. Very emotional for me. I did get emotional during that. Glad I was wearing sunglasses, because got a little teary eyed there. So
Baltimore,
we love you.
That was good. Hearing Ray Lewis and Ed Reed both speak like that, very good. I think it was a very well done day for the Ravens organization.
Hold on. Before we move on, how have we not brought up the dude who kept doing the Ravens chant?
Oh yeah, Real Fan Dan.
Yeah,
Real Fan Dan's he's a tradition there.
Legend.
He leads the RAVENS cheer.
Ravens.
And it's so great. He takes his shirt off
every time, and he's a very disproportionate man. He's a very goofy looking man, but damn it, he owns it, and you're just like, that guy's cool. That guy's cool.
I love it. So yeah, it was really cool. And I completely forgot about that, because I know you asked me before the game, Carlos, if there were any cheers or anything, and I was like, I don't think so. And then I was like, yeah, Real Fan Dan. I forgot about him. So yeah, it was really fun. It was a really well-rounded day, and an intense game to go with it. So I'm happy. I was very happy at the end of that day, for sure.
Well, the Baltimore Ravens defeat the Cleveland Browns in a game where the 3-man booth was at. It was a great time. It was a lot of fun. After this break, we will get to the Hurry Up Offense, brought to you each and every week by Barrett, Pest, and Termite Services. Stay tuned.
Hey, sports fans. Thank you for listening to and supporting the Kirby on Sports podcast with founder and host Josh Kirby, along with lead contributor Dan Dembski. Like, subscribe, and give them a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcast from. My name is Dr. Dave Miles, founder of Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation. Our company helps leaders build engaged and productive teams. Exclusively for listeners of the Kirby on Sports podcast, you can take an opportunity to discover your primary communication style and learn more about effective communication with others. Text Kirby to 757-903-0743 for your free copy of the Working From Home Communication Assessment, where you'll learn your primary communication style, how to better communicate with others not like you, and tips on working remotely based on your personal communication style. 10 minutes, tons of resources. Learn about yourself and your team. Again, text Kirby to 757-903-0743 for your free assessment report today. I'm Dr. Dave Miles, founder of Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, where we help you and your team be more engaged and productive by understanding each other better. Back to you, Josh.
All right. Welcome back to the Kirby on Sports podcast. It's now time for the Hurry Up Offense, brought to you each and every week by Barrett, Pest, and Termite Services.
You may have heard the saying, it's not if your home will get termites, it's when. At Barrett Pest and Termite Services, we're doing our best to refute that saying, one home at a time. Our thorough inspections and treatments are designed to keep your home or business termite-free. Termites cause $5 billion in damages every year. A preemptive inspection is one of the best ways to keep that from happening to you. Because once you see evidence of termites with the naked eye, you can be sure they've already been at work for some time. Put a stop to termites and the damage they do by calling Barrett Pest and Termite Services 540-340-3922. Barrett Pest and Termite Services 540-340-3922.
All righty, Mr. Carlos. Let's start that hurry up offense. Let's start on Thursday night football. This was a
sleeper, a dud, a travesty.
I just want to get your thoughts. Tell me how you really feel
About the Commanders versus the Bears.
Yes.
I honestly didn't really watch it. All I know is that it got a little dicey at the end, and Carson Wentz broke a finger, and he's out for the next month to 6 weeks, just like how Dak Prescott was. So
yeah, similar injury. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say either.
Wait, was that the Thursday night game? Or
that was last week's, but I wasn't gonna.
My bad. Whoops. What was the Thursday night game
stop.
again this week? I'm sorry.
It was the Cardinals and the Saints.
Oh, the Cardinals and the Saints. Whoops. You see, we didn't do this last week.
Yeah.
So, duh. I had a senior moment, like you said. I was like, wait, that doesn't make sense, because how did the Bears play? Like, yeah, what? How does it? Saints Cardinals. Yeah, no, the Cardinals look good. I will say
finally look good. Yeah,
finally look good, and I say it's because Hopkins just adds that extra dimension on the wide receiver core. And
he was great.
As for the
100
Saints,
yards receiving.
Oh yeah, fantastic game. And again, like he was coming back from a PED suspension, so it's different from, like, say he was coming back from injury. I'm pretty sure he stayed in relatively good shape. He was practicing. As for the Saints, man, what a disaster of a season they're kind of having right now. A lot of people had them possibly winning the South, making a run in the playoff Super Bowl, maybe, but it has just completely fallen apart.
Yeah, Andy Dalton certainly struggled, and he did struggle in this game. He had 3 picks, of course. The framed pick 6, where he's sort of turning and frustrated, and the dive in the background.
The
Mona Lisa moment. The defender diving into the end zone. Just a crazy play.
Crazy.
But yeah, they really have been disappointing. I agree with you. And that division is sort of a toss-up. I think we all had that thought.
I saw a meme about it, that who would have thought the NFC South was going to be the NFC East this year.
Oh my God. So yeah, that was I think that, to finalize this, because this is the hurry up offense, Cardinals with a big second quarter go on to win and use turnovers 42-34 against the New Orleans Saints at home. Big win for the Cardinals. They needed it, because let's face it, they were in trouble. They were in big trouble there. We'll now turn to the Sunday games. We'll start in that afternoon window. The Bengals beat the Falcons 35-17 at home. Joe Burrow with an insane game, almost 500 yards passing. And the Bengals look like the old Bengals at late in the season last year. What are your guys' thoughts on that one?
They're starting to get hot. They are starting to get hot. They're starting to figure it out. I think that they too were trying to shake off the Super Bowl hangover, even though of course they didn't win it, but still making it to the Super Bowl was a big deal for them. I think they're finally, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and just the rest of that offense are finally starting to figure it out again, get back into their groove and rhythm. And the Falcons, they're such an up and down team, man. I can't figure them out.
You never know week to week what Falcons team you're going to see. I think that's the overarching theme for them all season long. So
Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase.
Ooh, ow. No, your microphone is very loud right now.
Yeah, turn that down a touch there, boss.
It is. I am sorry. So Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase, Yeah, they both had over 120 yards, receiving yards. Chase with 2 touchdowns, Tyler Boyd with another touchdown. So it seemed like offensively, Joe Burrow was in sync with his receivers. Obviously, Jamar Chase, his go-to man. So
Yeah, the
that
Falcons
stood
had
out
no
to me
answer.
there.
The Falcons had no answer for either of those guys, and you could tell. I mean, they couldn't cover him. They couldn't single cover him, couldn't double cover him. It didn't matter. And Joe Burrow just was throwing the ball all over the field. He just had to play the game. So if you throw for almost 500 yards, I would say you had a pretty good game. I think it's safe to say.
Agreed.
So I think we can talk about the Cowboys. Am I still running this, or am I throwing it back to you now? Do you want me to?
It's up to you if you'd
You know
like
what?
for me to
I will.
run it.
I will run it if you'd like me to.
Okay.
Let's go to AT&T Stadium, Jerry's World. Sorry, I must say Jerry World. That would have been a travesty. The Cowboys, a slow start for your Cowboys, Carlos. But they got it going in the second half. They pull it out 24-6. Dak Prescott, he was 19-25, not a bad game. But it was the Dallas defense that I think was the difference in this game.
As per usual. What else is new, man?
Yeah, you have
Jared
Micah
Goff
Parsons
picks.
on the Dallas defense. There you go.
That defense is loaded. And they're going to take you guys far if they can continue to play at a high level. That's just how it is.
Yeah, we just need the offense to kind of catch up here. Of course, I don't, there's a lot of people bashing Dak Prescott. The man's been out since week 1. You just got to give him some time to get acquainted with the receivers. We got, James Washington coming back soon, which will add another receiver for us. Noah Brown did not have a very good game at all. So getting James Washington as our number 3 should help, should help tremendously. Of course, another game with, Michael Gallup, coming back from injury. We're still waiting for CD to start to dominate games the way we think he can. Zeke getting hurt in this game is kind of rough, but not surprising. The man gets injured every season. But luckily Tony Pollard is playing at a pretty high level. He had a pretty good game, Tony Pollard. He had a couple good runs that I saw. Of course, like you said, our defense looks fantastic. Dallas, listen, we have a very easy stretch of games right now. It was a little nerve-wracking while we were watching, or while we were at the the Ravens game, because we were
watching that
scoreboard
score.
watching, and I just kept seeing like Dallas was not pulling away, and it was still only it was like not 6-9. Then once we got into the fourth quarter, we started seeing Dallas pull away, and I started getting a little more calm and like, okay, they got this. It's not going to be one of those games where Detroit pulls one on us, and then like the season starts kind of falling apart from there. Especially right now, we were 2 weeks away from the bye week. It was important that we beat these two teams. The two teams being Detroit, and then of course this week Chicago. That way we go into the bye week 6-2 and in prime position to make a run, so that we can be in a good position to overtake the Eagles later on in the year when we play them.
That's going to be a hell of a game, for sure.
We got to play the Giants before that, though. So.
Yeah, and they've been hot too. So like Carlos said, the Cowboys. Slow start, but Dak just getting back into it. Definitely had some rust early on in that game, but the Cowboys turned it on late, 24-6, the final from Dallas. So we go to Washington, and we go to our good friend Josh Kirby, who has the right to brag for one episode. Upset performance, upset win at home against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, who are sputtering, absolutely sputtering.
Hard.
Really bad right now. So I'm going to take it to Josh, and he can tell us his thoughts.
Ladies and gentlemen, the legend of Taylor Heineke is back. You look at the resume. He beat Tom Brady. He now has beaten Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
But seriously, I think this Commanders team, everybody says it. I'm going to say it as well. They play harder for Taylor Heineke. And clearly, yes, he threw that semi-decent, ugly pick six. It looked like to me,
Sorry,
it looked like to me the guy ripped it out of the receiver's hands. But I could be wrong. So, anyways, besides that interception, Heineke had 2 touchdowns. I'm not sure if you watched the highlights, but do we think Carson Wentz could have put up those numbers?
Absolutely not.
Thank you.
There's no chance.
I think. I mean, I'm just going to interject here real quick, and then I'll let you, continue with your bragging, Kirby, because you absolutely deserve it this week. I think the difference with Carson Wentz and Taylor Heineke is a game manager. He plays it safe. He's just going to do, the thing. He's just going to make the, high percentage throws, completion, whatever the term is. I can't remember the term, but like he's going to make the plays that the safe plays, right? And he's not going to really make boneheaded mistakes the way Carson Wentz does. Carson Wentz tries too hard to play hero ball sometimes. And it's just insane to me that, like the proof is in the pudding here. We've had 3 straight years of Carson Wentz doing, what he has done. And then we've had 2 years of Taylor Heineke at least being a solid, stable quarterback. That's going to at least guarantee you 7 wins a season because that's what he did last year. So, I think you're correct. The team definitely plays harder when Taylor Heineke's in because they know he's going to do everything in his power to make sure that he doesn't jeopardize the team in any way.
I still feel like the running game needs to take another step up, but they're doing decent. But yet that goes back to the offensive line. I'm not sure how healthy they are, but they really need to focus on that offensive line.
Well, that and you got a guy who
it's too hard to fix that. It's also too hard to fix that in the middle of the season, dude.
Yeah.
So you're just gonna have to suck it up. Your line sucks. That's it.
And one thing I do like, Terry McLaurin was targeted a little bit more. He had a touchdown in this game. If you throw the ball to Terry, he's going to make something happen.
Yeah, you can't not throw him the football. So, and Carson Wentz just I don't know what it is, but he didn't quite frankly.
Gentlemen, I had a feeling in the back of my mind the Commanders were going to pull it off, and you all didn't believe me.
Yeah, you said it. You said it before we got to the stadium. You think that, and I thought so too. I was like, this is a perfect trap game. It's Taylor Heineke's starting. For some reason, I also had a feeling that Washington was going to pull this one off. And like Dan mentioned, the Packers are like, what are the Packers doing, man? Like, they just look god awful now. And it's like Aaron Rodgers can't figure it out. Like the Cowboys have to play the Packers here soon. And like, I'm not afraid of that team at all. And normally I'm afraid of playing Aaron Rodgers. But like, if I'm going up against this Aaron Rodgers, I don't know, man. I think the Cowboys might have it.
There's just no chemistry between the Rodgers and those receivers. And you can tell he doesn't trust them. I mean, it's that much is apparent.
And that's the issue, I think, is that
the big problem is. It boils down to that.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the issue. He doesn't trust his receivers. But whose fault is that? That's Aaron Rodgers' fault. He wanted that big contract. He got the big contract, but in order to get that big contract, they had to sacrifice Devontae Adams because they couldn't pay him and Devontae at the same time. So that's on him. So now they got to suffer the consequences of moving on from a very talented receiver.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, 2 teams going in different directions. I think Washington also needed this win because I mean they sort of stay there in the hunt. I mean, you have an extended playoff by one.
Oh, there's a possibility at the end of this week Washington could actually be the 7th seed.
That's right. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind.
Like somehow, some way, they're still in it, and it's because the AFC South is so bad that like Washington's they're not out. They're not out yet.
Not at all. All right, Kirby's Commanders with the upset, 23-21 at home in FedEx Field. All right, we go down to Nashville. This game was weird, but I think the team that was supposed to win won. The Titans pull off the win at home, 19-10. Derrick Henry, 30 carries in this game, just insane. They're going to wear him out doing that. And the Colts continue to struggle. There's just no other way around it. Matt Ryan has not worked out there, and
Now he's benched.
now he's benched.
Benched just in time for a good game this week.
Yeah, as the Commanders come into town.
I bet you're happy about that one for sure, as you should be. So I have nothing to say about this game.
Nor do I.
The Colts are a struggling team. We're going to go ahead and just skip that one. Nice win for the Titans, though. They desperately needed to flex their muscles a little bit, even though it was only a 9-point win.
I think the Titans, I will say this, though, real quick. I mean, I think the Titans are starting to get back on track here, and they're going to eventually just win this division outright, because I just don't think the Colts have it.
I agree. I mean, they're definitely the most experienced team, too, to come out of that division and have some success. So that also helps them, too, in the last, 3-4 years. So, all right. So we move on now down to Jacksonville, where there for a while looked like the Jags were going to upend the Giants, but the Giants in the fourth quarter pull away 23-17 on the road. Saquon Barkley, 110 yards. Daniel Jones had a pretty good game. What do you make of the Jags? I mean, they're a scrappy team. They've hung in there for some games, I think. They just didn't finish in this game.
I think for sure what we're seeing is they're on the right path. I think they're for sure. I think Doug Peterson has this team on the right path, but they're not a finished product, right? So but we're seeing the positive improvement of this team under Doug Peterson compared to what they looked like last season against your mortal enemy, Urban Meyer, and of course under whoever it was that took over after him.
Forget now.
I don't remember either. But yeah, what you're seeing is a team that's developing that if they continue down this path, they are going to become a pretty decent team that's going to, for sure win a few games and probably make the playoffs a couple times. But for the Giants, man, it's insanity that they are 5-1 right now. Like, how the heck did they, manage to become, to be, or I'm sorry, they're 6-1 right now, right? Yeah, they're 6-1. By the way, that one loss is to, the Dallas Cowboys. So that loss is, that win for Dallas is looking a lot better and better because they could have easily just fallen apart like they normally do, where they will, because it's not like this hasn't happened before, where the Giants maybe start off a little hot, they're feeling themselves a little bit, then they get beat down by the Cowboys, and then it just all falls apart. No, they have stayed the course. I think Brian Daboll for sure is coach of the year as of right now. And I really believe they're going to continue down. I think the Giants are going to make the playoffs. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I think they're going to be. I think there's going to be 3 teams from the NFC East. I think it's going to be the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Giants.
I agree. I think you just summarized it perfectly. Kirby, you have anything to add to that?
I think the Giants look pretty legit. I think
they are. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Brian Daboll, putting him in place, and it's just something about
his energy.
This team as a culture, it's like a complete culture change. And I think all the Giants fans, everybody's backing the Giants, and it's going to become an electric atmosphere to be at here in the next couple of weeks if they continue to win and win and win. And to Carlos's point, I absolutely agree. 3 teams out of the NFC East could, in fact, make the playoffs.
Yeah, I totally agree. And got Daniel Jones looking like a competent quarterback, which is a
somehow, some way. But again, it shows
coaching is
what a difference coaching makes.
Yep.
Because the 2 guys that coached Daniel Jones before just didn't know what they were doing. And, again, you're bringing in the guy who developed Josh Allen, who coming out of college, it's not like Josh Allen was the guy coming out of college. He was a very raw product that had a lot of upside, but needed the right person to really help with his development. And now look where Josh Allen is. You already see the difference with Daniel Jones. He's not making those stupid boneheaded mistakes that we would normally see,
on a consistent basis from him, or have a wide open touchdown, stumble and fall 20-yard line.
Exactly.
we salute him for not not running anymore. Okay, so oh man, this next game, it just it makes me secondhand angry for some reason. But the Panthers, PJ Walker and the Panthers. Man, what a stinker from Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. They go to Charlotte and get handed a 21-3 L. That's a big fat L for Tom Brady. And the Bucs, man, they are terrible right now.
Yeah, the Bucs are
What's going
definitely
on?
struggling offensively, and now they're starting to struggle a little bit defensively. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I guess age maybe is finally starting to catch up to Brady. I just don't know. Something just feels off about this team. It doesn't feel the same as it did the past 2 seasons. So, and for the Panthers,
I agree.
Big win for them. They definitely needed this after trading away, 2 of their biggest offensive players to put on a performance like this. It's fantastic.
Totally agree. And I just want to say this one thing about Brady. I think the stuff going on in his personal life is affecting him. I
think so too.
I don't know how it can't, and I think we're seeing that week after week. And also, he doesn't look great either. I mean, I really do feel for him. You don't want to see anybody go through. Seems to be what he's going through. So, certainly hope he is able to get better in general. So. But yeah, the Bucs are in deep trouble, and that's a nice one for the Panthers, a team that is really, really, really struggling and really with no sense of direction. So that's a big upset. Okay, so the Raiders pull out the win over the Texans. I got nothing to say about this. That's a 38.
I got nothing to say. I got nothing to say.
Yeah.
Nah.
Josh Jacobs with a hell of a game.
We go the Raiders. They're. I feel like they're going to start getting on track here a little bit too.
Yeah, and they were a team I think people had pretty good expectations for. I think they will continue that. So we head over to Denver, where they just continue to stink it up. This time, Russell Wilson was out.
Russell Wilson playing workouts, Phil.
Oh my God, that is the cringiest thing ever. We don't have to touch on it that much, but the fact that he's working out on a plane ride to London while the rest of his team is trying to sleep. He's an asshole, man. Like, forget my French. Forget my French, because I know we try our best not to curse on this podcast, but he's an asshole. Yeah. Like that's such a scumbag move, to be honest. Like, bro, like who are you trying to impress? Anyways, I don't have much to say about the game itself. Congratulations on the Jets for, also somehow having this huge resurgence and playing fantastic.
Yeah.
But like on the Denver side, man, this trade has absolutely they lost. They have lost this trade.
Oh, definitely. Big time. Big time.
Yeah, it would be like me working out at Dan's house and jumping up and down, and Carlos's room is right below, something like that. Just come on. You don't got to work out on a plane when your team's trying to sleep.
Agreed.
Yeah, he's really all about himself. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I think you guys
It's just like, who are you trying to impress, bro? Like who? Like why? Like
Sierra's
why?
not even on the plane, bro.
Like who are you? Like who are you trying to win over?
Yeah.
Like how is this a good move? Move on. I'm gonna go on a rant on this dude.
Move on.
All right, Carlos, you should be happy because your Chiefs went out to California and absolutely
home of the Chiefs.
Super Bowl rematch that we haven't had.
23, the Chiefs manhandle the 49ers out there.
And
yeah, they're
looking good.
The Super Bowl rematch. We haven't faced them since we played them in the Super Bowl, and we absolutely whooped them. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. I mean, listen, we all know what's going on here. The Chiefs and the Bills are on a collision course to face each other again in the playoffs. Whoever wins that is probably going to win the Super Bowl. Okay. Like there's just there's no denying it now. They're the 2 best teams. So
right now, there's no denying it.
There's no denying it. Like they're the 2 best teams.
4 or 5
they
weeks.
have played, of course, technically you could say the Bills are for sure the best team just because they have beaten the Chiefs. But it's not like the Chiefs aren't. I mean, they're right there. They're right there. So It was a fantastic game. It did kind of suck that it wasn't a better game because, as tradition that we have done the past 2 years, we have gone to the Buffalo Wing Factory in it's in Herndon.
Reston
technically Reston, but whatever. We go there after the game, and we have the wings and stuff. Fantastic atmosphere. Last year was the Cowboys-Patriots game that we were watching when we were there.
Hate to see it.
You hate to see it, guy, and my revenge on that guy after the Cowboys pulled that off in overtime. This time there wasn't a guy like that, at the bar, and also it was just the Chiefs dominated. So by the time we got to the restaurant, the game was pretty much in hand. Yeah. So it wasn't as an exciting story to tell, which is why we didn't really tell it. So, but yeah, I'm happy with the Chiefs. The 49ers, I think it'll be. I mean, that's just the Jimmy Garoppolo experience. Like sometimes
you're down, you're up, you're down,
you're down. But all in all, he's going to get you results somehow.
Yep, I totally agree. All right, Kirby, anything to add to that? Because I think we have a couple more games we got to get to here.
Nope, I'm all good.
All right, cool. The Seahawks travel to Inglewood, California, and take down the struggling Chargers, and Justin Herbert, 37-23, the win for the Seahawks. Geno Smith has proven to have stepped up into a starting quarterback role and play very well for Seattle. And I think the Chargers are still trying to find kind of what their identity is. They still haven't really.
I think it's time that they move on from Staley. I just don't think Staley's getting the most out of this very talented team, and I think he's gonna. If he stays, I mean, this is just how it is. I mean, they're so up and down.
I agree.
And for the Seahawks, listen.
No expectations coming into the season.
No expectations coming into. Actually, they had very low expectations coming into the season. Nobody really believed in Geno Smith, and he is absolutely lighting it up. And right now the Seahawks look like they came out of the trade the winners.
Yeah, totally agree. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. I think the Seahawks are going to be winning the trade at the end of this week too. Sunday Night Football, the Steelers and Dolphins. This game was very low scoring. If you like offense, I hope you didn't watch, because it was a 16-10 win for Miami at home.
Sorry,
not the greatest. Not the greatest.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't really watch this game either, so I got nothing to say.
I watched a little bit of it, but it was boring me. So
because you were at home. Me and Kirby were driving.
Yeah, Dan. Lucky.
Hey, it's not. What are you talking? What? It's not Dan's fault. Okay, it's not his fault that we chose to live far away.
That is true. You can choose where to live. You have that right in this country. That was stupid. So. Yeah, I got nothing to say about this game. Kenny Pickett struggled, had a couple of boneheaded interceptions, rookie quarterback, rookie mistakes. The Steelers are a rebuild. I think everybody knows that. The Dolphins had to win this game to stay sort of relevant. They did. It wasn't pretty, but they did it. So that's all I got.
Moving on to Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football.
Mac Jones to Bailey Zappi finish out the game.
And Patriots, they still got completely blown out.
Patriots got blown out. This was a great win for the Bears, 33-14 on the road in Belichick land, to go on to that stadium and do that to the Patriots. I don't care who you're playing, like what quarterback is starting. That's an impressive win for the Chicago Bears. And a nice confidence booster for.
Yeah, it was a fantastic win. Yeah, fantastic win. Listen, I mean, Mac Jones has already been named the starter for next week. I don't really think there's. I don't know. I don't know if there's a quarterback controversy yet or not. I mean, we'll see. But I'll just say I think the Patriots get correct this week. I think they beat the Jets, and I think this was just one of those weird games that the Patriots have every now and again, where they just didn't show up, and that's it.
So is Bailey Zappi the guy moving forward? Do you think for the rest of the
No, I think it's still Mac Jones. But
yeah, I think Zappi's still too young. It's good to get him out there.
Well, I also think Mac Jones is still too young. Remember, this only is Mac Jones' second year. Like, let's pump the brakes on trying to replace him with Zappi. Like, Zappi was a third-string quarterback just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's a good point. But I think sometimes, too, you have that idea. You have to go with the hot hand. Let's face it. I mean, neither guy
Zappi
really
came in and didn't play that much better. You know, they didn't even give Mac Jones a half. They gave him one quarter and then took him out. I think that's a very bad mistake to do to your young quarterback, because it's going to make him lose his confidence even more.
Yeah, I agree with that portion too. I think Yeah, I think just the first quarter move and pulling him. I mean, I really feel like you should have
At least
given
a
him
half.
at least the half to try to make something happen. That's
Yeah,
just
and
me, though.
and the whole thing is surprising because that's not a Belichick type of move. He usually doesn't do
Well, it's
that.
not Belichick running the offense though; it's Matt Patricia
true.
now.
But let's face it, it's Belichick's team. If Belichick didn't want to take him out of the game, he would have said, "You can't pull him from the game." And you have to listen to Lord Belichick. I mean, he cashes the checks,
Sure.
So
Uh,
Matt Patricia, I'm not sure about that guy either. So
I don't know how he went from a defensive guy to an offensive guy somehow, but apparently now he's running the offense. So
he puts a pencil on the other side of his ear, on his
that
other
makes
ear.
sense.
So
That makes
he
sense.
switches roles a little bit.
That makes sense.
That's the hurry up offense. And again, it wasn't hurried up, but we did the best we could do this week. It's a lot of games to cover every week. This is not easy to do this, Josh. I don't know how you do it week in and week out. I'm obviously not a good host.
a
So.
lot of hard
Back
work
to you,
and
please.
preparation. A lot of hard work and preparation. Thank you for that, Dan.
You're welcome.
This has been the Hurry Up Offense, brought to you each and every week by Barrett, Pest, and Termite Services. We'll be back right after this to wrap things up right here on the Kirby on Sports podcast.
Hey there, this is Mark Francis of Icon Real Estate. If you have any real estate needs in the Winchester surrounding area, including West Virginia, give me a call. I've got extensive experience, been in the business for almost 20 years, and would love to help you out. Track me down at Icon Real Estate, iconsells.com, or even give me a call, 540-247-1527. Again, Icon Sells, ICONSELLS.com. And I would love to chat with you and help you out. Give me a call.
Once again, I'm Josh Kirby. That's the weapon, Dan Dembski, the Swiss Army knife, Carlos Martinez. This is the Kirby on Sports podcast. And it's time to wrap things up, boys. Very great breaking down our experience in the Ravens game altogether. It was a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll be able to do it again really soon.
Yeah, it won't be an NFL game next time we go somewhere. It'll probably be maybe a Caps game or something like that. Cool. We'll see what happens, but we are we have to make Arrowhead happen next year. Like we have to.
I totally agree. And I think the 3-man booth has luck when it comes to, well, I shouldn't say that. Well, hold on, because the Chiefs did beat the Commanders, so one of our teams did win. So maybe next year, if we go to Arrowhead, the Chiefs will win. It's just a 3-man booth luck. I mean, what can you say?
Yeah, maybe they'll do a cool little celebration thing for a player or something like that. Who knows?
There you go.
We'll figure it out.
It definitely happened. But yeah, I know
we have a whole year to plan it.
It's a blast. It's a blast hanging out with you guys and experiencing an NFL game. There's really nothing else like it. So definitely looking forward to next year, whatever we decide.
It was a fantastic weekend, boys. Like I enjoyed it. I mean, the only thing that sucked was sleeping on that air mattress, but
Yeah.
I did not sleep well. I won't lie. I did not sleep well, but hey, we got to make sacrifices.
So are we going to do what to watch for, or just real quick?
Yeah,
let's
really
do, anything
let's
to watch
do
for.
What to watch for.
Is there a game? I mean, I guess Buffalo, Green
Bills
Bay,
and Packers.
The Bills and the Packers, but I'm not really looking after.
I'm not really looking forward to, because I think the Bills are about to just like completely lay the smack down on them.
Bengals and Browns might be a close one.
Yeah,
why would that be close?
That could be.
Maybe. I guess maybe Ravens Tampa Bay too would be.
That should be a good game.
I hope Thursday's been a little iffy.
Thursdays have been terrible for a month now. It's got to get better.
The viewership has gone down, and I saw that on social media somewhere earlier today.
Because they haven't had really big marquee games too.
Yeah, I know, and that's why the viewership's going down.
I mean, it started off hot. Chiefs Chargers, fantastic game. A lot of controversy in that game.
Yeah,
a fantastic ending. But then after that, like, it just feels like it hasn't really lived up to the hype at all. So
yeah, totally agree. I think it'll be a good Thursday night game, and hopefully re-energize the Thursday night football brand. I mean, especially for Al Michaels' sake, he's got to be getting bored. I can't imagine that he's not getting bored right now.
I just want Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth to get back together. I just want them to get back together. It's
Herb
the marriage
Street.
we need,
Herb
man.
Street is.
He's just got too much on his plate. Like he
he's
can't
too
do
overworked.
Thursday night and
He's too
he can't
overworked.
do college football. He can't focus on both things, man. Like,
Yep. He knows college football well. He just doesn't have enough time to know the NFL.
And if he had it, if he was solely just doing Thursday night, I feel like he'd kill it, right?
Oh yeah.
But he can't. He's got to do both, and it's not only just his Saturday night game that he's got to prep for. He's got to also prep for college game day. So he's got to know everything about every game.
Everything. It's just tough. But yeah, that's all I got. And back to you to close it out, because again, I'll be your sideline reporter. Just let me know.
Well, I do appreciate it. For Dan Dembski and Carlos Martinez, I am Josh Kirby. This has been another presentation of Kirby on Sports, the Kirby on Sports podcast. Make sure you check us out on all streaming platforms and all social media platforms, www.kirbyonsports.com. And give us a like, a comment, a thumbs up, a rating, a 5-star, if you would. We want to thank our sponsors for their continued support of the Kirby on Sports podcast. PM Plus Reserves, Shenandoah Primitives, Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate, and Barrett Pest and Termite Services. Until the next time you hear us or see us, always remember to create greatness. And we say so long and peace out.